for live action with the
We
Trippin
are
Thompsons
live.
podcast.
Okay.
Welcome to all of our viewers and listeners.
Welcome. This is Trippin Thompsons.
Okay. There was our intro. But again, welcome to all of our viewers and listeners to the Trippin Thompson podcast, where we are eager to connect with all of you and talk about the great things about entrepreneurship, your career journey, your success in your professional space, as well as life, and also life's fun adventures. So
That's right. Speaking of,
of,
I'm Victor, one of the co-hosts.
Yeah, and I'm Brickell, the other one.
Wow, look at that. I know. And speaking of life's adventures.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, we're going to be talking about AI. Talking about an adventure. That's an adventure.
It is an adventure.
An adventure in the workplace. It's an adventure just in general. People have great experiences and people have not so great experiences with it. So, but it is a topic that keeps coming up in circles that we're a part of. That's for sure. So, it might be good to visit it. May not be the only time we visit it, but certainly, today we wanted to visit it, and just to anything you want to say before we jump into the AI discussion.
Well, you said that people have differing experiences with it, and I think another layer I would add to it is that whether you engage in it or choose to maybe disengage or not engage, AI intersects your life no matter what. And so you're having some sort of experience with AI, but may not necessarily know about it. And so it's an important topic that we talk about, and we talk about it, how it's kind of shaping life and careers, and maybe what the opportunities are within AI to kind of help open up what you choose to do with it, because it is here, and it's probably not something that we're going to, move away from. It's only going to become more developed and more evident within all of our lives. So that's just another layer I'd want to add into it.
Sure.
But we thought it was a pretty relevant topic and wanted to hit it. Not to suggest that we're experts, but we absolutely are engaged in AI and want to share just kind of different perspectives and viewpoints around it, and help stimulate some thought and conversation and debate and et cetera, because we should always be kind of sparring and challenging and presenting different perspectives and viewpoints, so we kind of all learn and grow as a community.
Absolutely. And I do think that AI, is a tool, and therefore, it can be used. You can use it well. You can use it poorly. You can use it at the right times, and you can use it at the wrong times for the right things, the wrong things, So it's important, I think, to, embrace the power of AI and what it can be, but also to recognize that you have to use it. Ideally, we want to use it responsibly. We want to use it in a way that helps us, address an issue that we have or something like that. And that's important. You and I were actually in a conversation earlier, like we were in a networking group, and they brought up customer service. And, I think when a lot of people experience AI through customer service these days, because they, want to like make a phone call to a company because there's an issue they're having. It might be, you're having a problem with your, with your internet, or you're having a problem, with something you purchased or something like that. And then you call and you immediately get plugged into this queue of, hey, press 1 for this, press 2 for that, press 3 for this. And eventually you get, well, or at least I've experienced this, where then it gets to a point and it says, well, our virtual assistant can help you with this. So, just let them know what your issue is. You let them know what your issue is, and the virtual assistant says something like, I don't understand.
Mm-hmm.
And then you're like, can I just talk to a real person? So, I mean, that's where I think some people's experience with AI comes into play, is that is all of a sudden they get these, frustration points because they're dealing with something where maybe they want to be able to talk to a real live human, and they get frustrated. So I just thought I'd bring that up, from a customer service standpoint. I don't know what your thoughts are about that. But that was something that was sitting on my mind from a conversation earlier today.
AI is not perfect, nor will it, dare I say, ever be. But I'm going to say it, and there's going to be flaws within it, and I've had an experience where, I put some considerable amount of work into a particular platform, and then I pulled out content from that work and put it into a different platform to verify and validate, and the platforms were in disagreement with each other. And so the platform I used for the validate and verify exercises, I was actually able to get to its cited sources and affirm that, yes, what this platform was telling me was correct. And that's an example to share, is that, there's so many being developed and coming out probably on the daily, new different types of AI softwares that you could engage in, and apps and et cetera. And so it's important that, if this is bodies of work that you're leveraging for something that is driving at a decision, or putting a brand or a connection to who you are, that you want to make sure that you're fact checking this, and then doing that across other AI platforms to assure that whatever content you're putting out there, it's good content.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. I mean, there's also just the idea of knowing what is it that you're trying to solve for. What's your objective? If if you just use AI just to use AI, then it's probably not going to necessarily help you more. But if you understand what is it that I'm trying to achieve, here's a situation. If you take customer service, many organizations, the reality behind the customer service is that there were so many questions that could be answered by just having somebody, push a button or something like that, go through a routine. I remember one time when, I had an IT specialist come to an office when I was working in corporate, and they would go through all of the little things on the phone, and then they would finally come to the office. And when they get to the office, and what the IT specialist said to me was, hey, you won't believe how many people I have walked upstairs and just simply oh, they didn't plug their computer in, or they didn't, reboot it or something like that. And so organizations likely looked at, AI for customer service and said, well, 90% of all customer questions and problems can be solved through AI, right? Which is great, but they didn't provide the outlet for, many of them don't provide the outlet for the 10% that can't be solved through AI. They just let those people get frustrated and not be able to solve their problems, which, in the long run usually creates customer dissatisfaction, and, the loyalty goes away. And so that's something that, when we think about, hey, how do I intentionally use AI and add value to it, I also need to think about, am I like doing something where I'm creating something where there's an end user, and how is the end user gonna, you know, interface with the AI that I'm using, or what you brought up, Brickell, is you talked about, it's like it's not always accurate, right? And it's like it's really easy for us to just buy into, hey, whatever is out there, that's the truth. But even people aren't accurate many times, so it's important to, that's why they fact check. On so many channels they'll be like fact check, right? um and so it's important to know that then the AI is just as fallible from that standpoint as we are, because it's pulling data and pulling information that was generated by people ultimately, right? It doesn't, just find something out of the blue that's never before been discovered.
Yeah, and backing up the fact checking, and really why this is so important to do. There was a couple of stories that were shared this week. A couple of people who had, they're in career pursuit. They're looking for a new opportunity, right? Time for a change type of a thing. And one individual in particular had shared that they put the job description from the organization into AI, and then they uploaded their resume and asked AI to create or rewrite their resume to fit what was being requested of this role from the organization. And what it came back with was, all of a sudden, this person had a degree from a university they never went to. It said that they led certain bodies of work that weren't even within their professional space. And, this individual was just shocked. Like, how could AI be so radically wrong? And then that kind of inspired a lot of laughter, for one, right? And probably many people have had a similar type of experience with AI, where you ask it to do something and it brings you back something that's like, wow, I did not want you to fetch that bone. That was really interesting. But it inspired the conversation into looking at how do you best help manage AI to perform for you? And the more that you can be, clear on what you're trying to solve, like you were saying, but how do you provide the appropriate prompts and design the request or the questions or whatever, and getting really, really granular. And so there was an example that I had encountered a while ago, where somebody had said, listen, you can't go into AI and simply say, go mow the lawn, and it understands what to do. You have to tell it, I need you to walk through the house, through the kitchen, out the back door, down the deck stairs, into the shed in the back door, open the back door shed doors, and then find the green lawnmower. All right. And then, so I'm not going to go through how you mow a lawn through AI, but it was that granular of detail, like really, really getting fine tuned around this. And sometimes that's really difficult to do. And it doesn't mean you have to do it on your first step up to bat, right? Your first swing doesn't mean everything has to be loaded in there, because what AI brings back to you in response, you can continue to filter or factor in additional information and continue to work with it. And the more you're doing that, the more that the machine, if you will, is getting to know and understand you. Another part about this that was discussed is that it's important to treat it as you would a human. And so using pleasantries, using your please and thank yous, encouragement, like, hey, this was an awesome piece of content. Way to go. This nailed it for me. So you think about how do you really engage at a deeper level, which might be odd because, you're behind your computer, but really treating it as if the experience is being shared with another human being.
Absolutely right, because, and I would add, like, if you took those two things you talked about, which is being very specific with the prompts, right, and being very clear and granular, but then also treating it like an individual. Think of the first time somebody meets you, right? They don't know anything about you. So if you go, you're at a networking event and you say, go and get me a drink, right? Well, maybe it's a networking event that has alcoholic beverages, non-alcoholic beverages, hot beverages, cold beverages, all kinds of different things. And they go off and they get you a drink and they come back and they bring you exactly the drink you would not want to drink, right? Whatever that drink is, right? For you, it would be coffee, right? It's like, so you say, go get me a drink, and they come back and they get you this beautiful cup of coffee, right? It's got mocha in it, it's got all this different stuff. And you're like, I don't want that, right?
Yeah.
But they don't know. Okay. Mm-hmm. So you have, and by engaging with them as a human, you would then say, oh, you know what? I don't like coffee. Here's what I like. I like these types of drinks. And, I like to have them like this and so on and so forth. And then it goes off and it brings back something that's more appropriate for what you want, right? So that becomes really key because it learns, as you were talking. It's a learning device. And the one thing that's true about it that's different than a human is that for the most part, it doesn't forget, right? So if you had a conversation with your AI 2 years ago and you told it something, it doesn't know that time lapse. Whereas if you told me, I might not remember in 2 years, right? But thank you. Yes. But it remembers, and so it's going to go back and grab that information and still be on point. Maybe so much so that if you change and adapt, it's still thinking, hey, you know what? You like this type of drink, right? And it's like, so I'm bringing you exactly that drink. So it's about being able to engage with it. And I think that's such a big point. And I also think you should have fun with it. Right? Don't get frustrated or anything. You should really be like, okay, I'm having fun with this. It's like, let's test it and see, how it does under different situations. You talked about job attributes and things like that. There are a lot of companies who say they don't want anything AI generated from their applicant. So it's like they go and they try and do AI detection. And a funny story for me, I had my AI platform take some of the cover letters that I personally wrote and go off and like say, okay, let's compare one that I write versus one you write, and let's see which one has greater detection. Right? It like seems more like AI. Well, here's the thing that slapped me upside the face. It came back and the AI detection device actually said, I sounded more like AI than my AI did. Mm-hmm. So part of what happens is that as humans, we have also learned certain things because some of the things that it's doing to try and detect AI are the very same things that we as humans are trying to do to not seem like we are so colloquial, so to speak, right? So if you use words that are too big, or if you correct every spelling error. In fact, somebody told me once, if you want to make sure that it doesn't detect AI, have one spelling error. Like if you have a spelling error, AI doesn't make spelling mistakes, so therefore it's gonna pass the AI sniff test, so to speak. But it's about learning about it, right? I mean, you and I have been on a journey around like learning more and more about AI, and dare say, you get frustrated at times, right? But for the most part, we've continued to work at it and continue to try and figure out, hey, how do we get it to really reflect who we are and what we're trying to do at the time, and still knowing that I want my voice. So I'm gonna make sure that my voice is in this and not the AI's voice.
And thinking about it from an organization perspective, that AI requires ongoing maintenance. Think about it as taking care of a new puppy or a newborn baby, is that it doesn't continue to evolve on its own accord. It requires engagement and receiving more information and interaction in order for it to have more data points to work with, and then to learn your voice or your style, that type of a thing.
Mm-hmm.
And so with that being said, there is, hopefully for some people, this might be new information, but security in knowing that AI isn't going to come in and take over your job because of this, because of the maintenance needed with it. AI in some aspects, like, now an organization, rather than having a room full of call center individuals to field customer support, is now initially using AI to kind of triage how those calls are treated. So yeah, is it disrupting in some environments? Absolutely. But the thing is that it's not going to take over your job. What will take over your job is the person who understands and knows how to leverage AI within their career space, or for the benefit of the organization or the industry or the profession that it might be. And so for this reason, it's so important to get on board and to start utilizing AI, testing your knowledge, your ability. And as you're learning it and feeling like you've become really fluid with it, continue to press further, because there are so many different platforms that start to specialize in different types of areas. And you just become that much more marketable, that much more greater of an asset to the organization and a problem solver. Organizations want to pay people who can solve problems. And, the more that you're fluid with this, it gives you a broader reach in what you're capable of doing, but it also adds probably more confidence to you in knowing that now you have more control over what you want to do from a professional standpoint. Maybe you want to continue to stay and grow with the company. Maybe you want to launch out and start your own career. And now, because you've got this confidence in utilizing AI, you're able to get out there and explore things and help you to learn how to navigate through the challenges in what that might look like. That can apply anywhere. It doesn't have to be just in a professional setting, but I did want to bring in conversation around the professional environment and, really acknowledge that, it's here to stay. Is it the end all be all? No, it's not. There are many companies that have policy, regulation, protections around AI and AI usability within the organization. Some of you may not even have access to AI within your organization. And so there's, a calculated risk for organizations to plug information in there, trade or top secret type of stuff, or anything that might be a competitive advantage that, now it's kind of out into the greater domain that anybody now, it's going to be feeding information into others as they're pursuing similar types of lanes. And so for a company, there's risk with it. And so it does make sense that there might be imposing policies that maybe restrict the utility of it, or only relegate it to, certain departments or groups within the department, or even certain individuals within the organization who get access to AI. And just understanding the why behind the organization having that policy is important. But the thing is the playground is fully accessible to you in your personal time. And so jump on your computer, jump on your phone, and start exploring AI and really start to learn it. There's just so much out there, and it's actually a lot of fun.
So I would add that you just want to make sure you embrace, right? You embrace the technology and understand it's a tool. As I mentioned earlier, it's like, because it's a tool, that means, and what you were saying, Briquel, is that it's not going to take away your skill, your talent, your ability to be, to create impact wherever you are, whatever you're doing. And so if you want to learn how to leverage it effectively so that it works for you as opposed to, you working against it.
Yeah.
And it's really important. So as we like wind down, like what are some key takeaways, any other key takeaways, I guess you might say, that you might have, or thoughts that you might have around this topic?
I think the other one that I would add is that the paid versions of AI are worth the payment. They are just that much better. And it doesn't mean you need to jump right in at the beginning, especially if you're just starting to test it out and explore. Go ahead and use all the free versions. Absolutely. But once you start to become more serious about leveraging AI, move yourself along that journey and make that investment. It's not a sizable investment, it's actually pretty economical. But the value and the experience you get is just so much different. So that, that's one takeaway that I would add. I think we hit on several other key points. Talk to other people to understand what they've learned from it and how that can help you maybe move a little bit further, faster, based on the learnings of other people. You can go ahead and join chat groups and understand about it on so many different social platforms, etc. So those are just a couple of things that I would encourage people to think about. How about for yourself?
Oh, I agree with what you were saying, and I would say that, the biggest additional kind of takeaway that I have is is that there are going to be opportunities to continue to leverage AI in different ways.
Mhm.
And the more connected you get to AI and understanding yourself personally, professionally, the greater the opportunity it is that AI will bring new thoughts and ideas to you and expand your universe. So, my experience has been, that it will start to suggest things based on what it knows about me.
Yeah.
Right? And those things are different than what it's going to suggest to you. And so
Yep.
you and I can ask the exact same question. And in fact, we have done that before when we were working on podcast scripts and things like that. And it would come back with two very different answers.
Mhm.
And so because it's that learning device, is going to continue to learn from you along the way. The other thing is that anything that AI generates for you is yours. It's uniquely yours. It isn't, it's not plagiarizing or doing anything like that, which I guess is evidenced by the fact that sometimes it makes stuff up, right? It's uniquely yours.
Yep.
However, as long as it's fact checked and everything like that, you should know that that right to that thought or the way it's written is yours. And you can be comfortable going out and sharing that and saying that you said it, right?
Mhm.
Because you did.
Yeah.
I don't know if we can, if half an hour can do it justice, but I mean, at least we got a chance to dip the finger or the toe in the water and start talking about it, and maybe we'll revisit this topic again in the future.
Yeah.
So
Let's do that for sure.
okay.
So Awesome. Thanks everybody for joining the Trippin Thompsons podcast. It was great to have you all here with us and learn a little bit more about the AI experience. Please drop us comments, questions, reactions in Instagram or Facebook, and you can also find us on YouTube. Follow along. Make sure that you subscribe, like, follow, share, all the great stuff. We want to see more of you, and until next time.
Until next time.